Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Those are the words of the immortal, well, not immortal, but long-living Yoda from the movie Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And you may be saying, but that's one of the prequels. They're known for their poor writing. How can this be one of the greatest quotes from Star Wars, if not the greatest quote from Star Wars, and one of the most poignant quotes from Star Wars regarding where we are in society? How can that be the case? Well, first of all, I think far too much hate against the prequel trilogy. Me personally, grew up with those films. I think there was just expectations coming from the original trilogy that didn't get met, and people got needlessly upset at these new films. That's the first point. Second point is that doesn't really matter. That's not the topic of today's video. It's why does fear through these channels lead to so much suffering? And you think about it, just in regular life. Fear can lead to anxiety, depression. Can lead to a whole bunch of negative outcomes. And fear can also be used by these negative outside forces to create hostility. Some might call it anger and hatred towards people that are different from yourself. The fear of the unknown, you know. And think about society a lot, you know, and what's happening in this modern age. I think that's why this quote of fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. It's such a great one for where we are in today's world. You know, we just got to stop fearing so much. Not easy, obviously, and I don't really have any answers for how we can stop doing that. But yeah, I think it is a quote that is very much looking at what's happening in today's society. And the prequel trilogy, you know, the downfall of Anakin Skywalker, as this great chosen one who then falls victim to the dark side. That also kind of has a little bit of inklings of what's happening in today's society as well, you know, when you think about it. Fascinating stuff. It really is. So yeah, I was just thinking about that. Obviously, a big Star Wars fan. You've probably seen my R2-D2 in the back of my push-up videos. Wearing the Star Wars shirt right now. Star Wars drink bottle also. So I think about these things sometimes, and that quote just really, when looking back at it, I was like, huh, it does parallel some of society's issues that we have right now. And the downfall of Anakin does as well. It's just fascinating. I think, yeah, we're, you know, the loneliness epidemic and social media and having to be portrayed outwardly as the best person possible. All these kind of pressures in society, but yet we're like interacting less with people in the real world, and we're just getting pushed the best versions of everyone on social media. It's tough. It's tough out there, and it does cause a lot of fear that you're not living up to these expectations. And that causes a lot of people's issues and problems that they are having with themselves and with others, which is unfortunate. Unfortunate place to be in, and obviously, you know, if you can self-reflect on that and realize it's impacting you, which it almost certainly is, to some degree at the very least, then that's a good starting point, I think, to kind of work on those issues. But anyway, that has been me rambling on a little bit about a Star Wars quote that I think is one of the best that's held up from a movie that came out, 26 years ago at this point nearly. Only a couple of months away from that, so quite an old quote at this point, but hey, maybe if people just watched the prequel trilogy more, possibly there'd be less issues in the world right now, to keep it lighthearted. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this if you've watched through the whole thing. And I will be back again at some point. Love you all. Have a great day, week, year, decade. And I will be back at some point. Goodbye.